Imagine a time before time itself was charted, a boundless, silent expanse. This wasn't emptiness, but a dense, unformed potential. The world as we conceive it, lay veiled, a vibrant possibility suspended in the cosmic breath of Olodumare, the supreme source, the unknowable. Above this nascent sphere, in the celestial realm of Orun, the Orishas, divine emanations, facets of this ultimate source, contemplated the journey. They carried within them the blueprints of forest, the courses of rivers, the whispers of wind, the very secrets of life, ready to imbue the unformed earth. Yet, an ancient formidable barrier remained. Between Orun and Aye lay a primordial wilderness, a chaotic, impenetrable density. Some traditions describe it as a spiritual morass, others as a literal, untamed jungle of cosmic proportions, where energies tangled and no clear way could be discerned. One by one, the great Orishas, embodying diverse aspects of nature and consciousness, attempted the descent. Perhaps Obatala, the shaper of human forms, pure and serene, sought a gentle passage. Maybe Yamoja, the great mother of waters, tried to flow her life-giving essence through, but the path remained stubbornly, defiantly closed. Their inherent powers, their sacred tools of softer make, found no purchase against this primal sway. The vital energies poised to quicken the new earth were stymied. The grand potential for life, for society, for destiny itself remained locked away, a dream unrealized. Then one stepped forward from the divine assembly, solitary, resolute. This was Ogun. He was not adorned in flowing celestial robes, but emanated the raw focused energy of unyielding will. In his powerful grip, a formidable axe, some say forged from a meteorite, a shard of fallen sky. Others from the very first iron he himself wrestled from hidden veins. This was no mere metal. It was an extension of his indomitable spirit, gleaming with an untamed, purposeful light. And some say by his side was his faithful dog, its senses kin to the unseen currents. Ogun did not plead with the chaos, nor did he attempt to charm or cajole it. With a primal cry that resonated through the unformed void, a sound that was both a challenge and a declaration, Ogun struck, his axe, a blade of singular, concentrated intent, the embodiment of first action, bit deep into the fabric of the primordial entanglement. Again and again, the iron fell, carving, cleaving, shaping. Each strike was a testament to unwavering will, a pathfinder forging a way where none existed. Sparks flew, not just of metal against unknown resistance, but sparks of nascent order in the face of overwhelming chaos. He hacked and cleared, tireless and focused, until finally a passage was opened, a shining road through the cosmic wilderness. Through this channel, this testament of focused power, the other Orishas could at last descend, bringing their diverse gifts to establish life and order on Earth. But where did this ability to act, to be the first, to bring order from such overwhelming nothingness truly originate? What is the nature of this fierce, pioneering will that can stare into the abyss and carve a new reality? Join me in this exploration of Ogun, the primordial force of transformation, justice, and the deep metaphysics of our very being. I'm Shingai, welcoming you to the House of Horus. One, introducing the force. Now, to understand the question posed earlier, We must look beyond the idea of Ogun as simply a god of iron or war, as he is often depicted. In that primordial act of cleaving a path, Ogun revealed himself not merely as a deity, but as the very principle of initial transformative action. The Yoruba honor him with the praise name Osin Imole, the chief among the divinities. He wasn't just a pathmaker, he embodied the inherent capacity to make paths, to initiate, to bring forth. This understanding is rooted in the sophisticated cosmology of the Yoruba people. At its apex is Oludumare, the supreme being, the ultimate source of all that is, a vast, often incomprehensible mystery. From Oludumare emanates Ashe. Now, Ashe is a profound concept. It's the divine life force, the inherent power, the spiritual authority, the very energy that makes things happen, that animates the universe, that regulates all movement and activity. It is the sap of the cosmos, the current that flows through all existence. And we've spoken about it numerous times on this channel. Every Orisha is a conduit, an embodiment of specific streams or qualities of this universal Ashe. And Ogun? Ogun is a primary, undiluted channel of a particularly potent and dynamic form of Ashe. An Ashe characterized by its directness, its incisive force, its inherent heat, and its power to transform, to act, to cut through illusions and inertia. His intervention wasn't just a display of strength, it was the focused application of the sacred, world-shaping energy. Metaphysically, what Ogun achieved in that moment was the very essence of manifestation. Consider it. Potentiality, the raw, unexpressed energy of Oludumare existed. The Orishas, bearing the diverse aspects of this potential, existed. But for that potential to become actual in the terrestrial sphere, for the spiritual to take root in the material, a catalyst was needed, a force to bring the conceptual and the concrete. Ogun is that catalyst. He is the divine impetus that translates thought into action, idea into form, the unmanifest into manifest. He is the principle that says, "Let there be a way," and then forges that way with undeniable power. But if Ogun is the primal catalyst, this embodiment of focused Ashe that carves potential into reality, what then was the primal instrument of this divine will? What tangible substance, discovered and mastered, became the very signature of his transformative power, the key that unlocked humanity's ability to shape its world and its destiny? Two, the weight of iron. The answer? Echoing through millennia of myth, ritual, and human endeavor, is Irene, iron. Ogun is universally acclaimed as the Orisha of iron, of all metals, and by profound extension, all technologies that spring forth from their manipulation. His relationship with iron isn't merely an association, it is an indivisible unity, a core signature of his divine essence, the primordial axe. The tool that first carved reality from chaos wasn't just any implement. It was the harbinger of a new epoch, the symbol of a revolutionary power entering the world. The unyielding strength of smelted, forged, and meticulously tempered metal. Before iron, humanity worked with stone, with copper, with bronze, materials with their own beauty and utility, but iron was different. It was harder, more resilient, capable of holding a sharper, more enduring edge. Its arrival was a paradigm shift. Now, iron, in the esoteric understanding intrinsically linked to Ogun, transcends its role as a mere physical material. It becomes a metaphysical key, a tangible conduit for cosmic principles. Consider its profound journey. It begins as raw, unassuming ore, deeply sequestered within the earth, a hidden treasure embodying vast unrealized potential. It is the earth's quiet strength, waiting to be awakened. Then, dragged from darkness into light, it enters the fiery heart of the forge, Ogun's sacred space, a crucible where the elements dance at his command. Here, subjected to intense, purifying heat, the very breath of Ogun's fiery ashe, and shaped by the rhythmic, forceful, and skillful application of human will and effort, this ore undergoes a dramatic transmutation. It is hammered, folded, quenched, each step a deliberate act of refinement, burning away impurities, aligning its inner structure, imbuing it with new qualities. This audacious, fiery journey of iron, from inert, earthbound potential to a keen, potent, world-altering implement, is a powerful and direct metaphor for transformation itself, perhaps the quintessential metaphor. It is a sacred drama illustrating how raw energy, how primal being can be refined, tested, and ultimately strengthened by the interplay of elemental fire and conscious will, emerging as something of focused power, defined purpose, and remarkable resilience. Ogun, therefore, is not just the lord of the finished metal, but the divine master of this entire alchemical process of becoming, the divine smith who presides over the refinement of being itself. The tools and weapons born from this process are not just objects, they are condensed ashe, extensions of his creative and destructive capacity, allowing humanity to shape its environment and, indeed, its destiny. Thus, the very essence of this fundamental force, this Ogun principle that carves paths and pioneers' existence, is palpably raw. It is undeniably foundational, and it is inextricably and forever tied to our innate, God-given human capacity to interact with, to mold, and to fundamentally reshape the world that surrounds us, and perhaps the world within us. But as this formidable power of iron, this tangible extension of Ogun's potent will, began to proliferate across the earth, as humanity truly learned to harness its unyielding strength and sharp intelligence, what new realities did it begin to forge? How did this mastery over the earth's metallic bones begin to sculpt the intricate edifices of society, erect the towering structures of civilization, and yet, in the very same breath, unleash new, more devastating, and far-reaching forms of conflict? Part 2. The Double-Edged Sword, Forging Civilization and Its Conflicts. Introduction. The answer unfolds within the fiery heart of the forge, the sacred domain where Ogun reigns as the divine smith, the master craftsman. Picture it, the rhythmic roar of the bellows breathing life into embers, coaxing them into a roaring inferno, the glowing iron surrendering its solidity to the intense heat, pulsed with an almost living light. Then the percussive clang of a hammer on anvil, a primal rhythm of creation as Ogun, or the human smith, acting as his earthly conduit, skillfully bit and bent the incandescent metal into new forms. This was an awe, a profound power inherent in this space, a place where raw elements were tamed, transformed, and imbued with human intention. From this crucible of fire and will emerged the instruments that begin to fundamentally reshape human existence. Hoes and plowshares forged with Ogun's strength bit into virgin soil, allowing the settled agriculture for bountiful harvests, for the birth of villages that grew into towns. Axes and adze, once tools for clearing primordial thickets, now felled timbers for sturdy homes, the communal longhouses for the very structures that sheltered and defined burgeoning communities. Knives, once solely for the hunt, became tools for artisans, healers, and daily life's intricate tasks. This was the dawn of a new kind of order, a societal structure built upon the strength and versatility of iron. Some narratives even speak of Ogun as the first Oba, the king of Ile-Ife, the sacred city considered the cradle of Yoruba civilization. In this, we see iron not just as a tool, but as the foundation of organized society, the enabler of kingship, the bedrock of law and governance. Yet, this new power was not without its shadow. The same mastery that forged the plowshare could, with equal skill, forge the spearhead, the sword, the arrowhead. The axe that cleared the forest for settlement could also be wielded in territorial disputes. The strength of iron, which built and protected, also armed the warrior, equipped the raider, and amplified the devastating impact of human conflict. The very tools that wove the fabric of civilization simultaneously provided the means to tear it asunder. The forge, a place of miraculous creation, also became the birthplace of more efficient destruction. This nascent tension, this inseparable bond between the creative and the destructive potential held within the very essence of Ogun's gift, forces us to ask a deeper, more unsettling question. Is this duality, this dance of making and unmaking, of building up and tearing down, simply an unfortunate byproduct of power? Or is it something far more fundamental to the very nature of progress and existence itself? One, the paradox of progress. To delve into this, we must confront the profound metaphysical truth that Ogun embodies, this inherent, irreducible duality. He is simultaneously the Orisha of creation and destruction, of civilization and untamed wilderness, of pioneering order and the potential for disruptive chaos. This isn't a contradiction in his character, it is a reflection of a fundamental cosmic law. Yoruba philosophy, articulated through the multifaceted persona of Ogun, recognizes that all acts of becoming involve a degree of unbecoming. To cultivate land for agriculture, an act of creation and sustenance, the wild forest must first be cleared, an act of deconstruction of the existing ecosystem. To forge those very tools that enable civilization, raw ore must be violently extracted from the earth and radically transformed by fire. To establish justice and social harmony, wrongdoing and its influences must often be confronted and, in a sense, destroyed. Ogun embodies this necessary, albeit sometimes harsh and unsettling, dynamic interplay. Some interpretations of his essence suggest a stark truth that death and dissolution is essential to life. Old forms must pass away for new forms to arise and flourish. This brings us to a critical and often uncomfortable fundamental question. Is all progress, all forward movement, all innovation inherently and inextricably tied to some form of destruction or deconstruction. Can we truly build anew without first dismantling the old? Esoterically, every piece of technology, from the simplest hand tool to the most complex digital algorithm, can be seen as an extension of Ogun's energy. Each innovation carries his spark, the power to solve problems, to create, to connect, to advance. These are his incredible gifts to humanity. But with these gifts come inherent burdens and profound ethical responsibilities. The knife that can carve a life-saving totem can also take a life. The digital network that connects billions can also be a tool for mass surveillance or manipulation. Iron itself, as we've seen, is a neutral conductor of intent. Its impact becomes positive or negative based on the consciousness, the wisdom, and the ethical framework of the one who wields it. To engage with technology from this ancient perspective is to invoke Ogun's energy, and with it, the inescapable duty to navigate its dual potential with awareness and accountability. If this potent dualistic force of transformation, this energy of iron and fire, is so deeply embedded in the very fabric of progress and technology, how then does it manifest in the lives of those who consciously or unconsciously work with its power every day? Who are the modern inheritors of Ogun's complex legacy? Two, Ogun in human hands. Traditionally, Ogun's direct devotees were clear: the blacksmith whose hammer sang his praise with every strike on glowing iron, the warrior whose blade was an extension of Ogun's fierce protective instinct, the hunter whose solitary skill and keen senses mirrored Ogun's own mastery of the wild. These were individuals whose lives depended on the precise application of force, on the sharpness of their tools, and on an unwavering, steely resolve. But his domain, his influence, extends far beyond these ancestral roles. Consider the surgeon whose scalpel must cut with unerring precision to save a life, separating diseased tissue from healthy. Is it not the spirit of Ogun there, in that focused skill and decisive action? Think of the engineer designing complex machinery, shaping steel and circuits to build bridges or power cities. Is it not Ogun's creative, transformative energy present in their blueprints and constructions? The truck driver navigating treacherous roads, the mechanic diagnosing and repairing intricate engines, the coder putting through lines of complex script to create new digital realities, all who wield tools, who rely on precision, who must cut through obstacles, whether physical, mental, or systematic, walk in Ogun's sphere of influence. They are all, in a sense, engaging with the same fundamental force that first cleared the path for existence. And this iron will, this adaptable, resilient energy, traveled with the Yoruba people during the brutal disruptions of the transatlantic slave trade. In new lands, under unimaginable oppression, Ogun's essence was not extinguished. It was ingeniously reconstituted, often syncretized with Catholic saints like Saint George or Saint Peter, but his core attributes endured. In Cuban Santeria, in Brazilian Candomblé, in Haitian Voodoo, Ogun or Ogum remained the master of iron, warfare, and labor. Indeed, in these contexts of profound adversity, his warrior aspect often became even more pronounced. His energy, a potent spiritual resource for resistance, for survival, for the relentless pursuit of justice in the face of dehumanization. This dynamic adaptation shows that Ogun is not a static myth, but a living energy that interacts profoundly with human experience, offering strength when it is most desperately needed. It becomes clear then that this force, this Ogun principle, is indeed inherent in all human endeavor that shapes and reshapes the world, tirelessly carrying within it that immense, awe-inspiring, and sometimes terrifying creative and destructive potential. But if this power is so pervasive, so integral to our drive to build, to innovate, and even to contend, what governs its use? What ensures that this force, which can clear paths and forge civilizations, doesn't simply devolve into unchecked aggression or the breaking of all sacred bonds? Is there a higher law, an unyielding truth, to which even Ogun, and by extension, all who channel this energy, must ultimately answer? Chapter 3. The Law of Iron, the Sanctity of Truth. In traditional Yoruba society, and even in some contemporary contexts, the answer to that echoes with the clang of iron and the weight of solemn pronouncements. Imagine a communal gathering, perhaps under the broad shade of an ancient tree, where a grave dispute has arisen. Accusations fly, trust has fractured, and the very fabric of the community is threatened. All other avenues of resolution have failed. Finally, the elders call for the ultimate arbiter. A piece of iron is brought forth, perhaps a weathered machete, an old axe head, or even a simple, unadorned bar of metal sanctified to Ogun. The air grows still. Each party to the dispute is called to step forward, to lay their hands upon the cold, unyielding metal, and swear by Ogun's name to the truth of their testimony. This is no mere formality. To invoke Ogun in an oath is to call upon a power that sees beyond deception, a justice that is swift, impartial, and often severe. The belief is absolute. If you swear falsely on Ogun's iron, his retribution will find you. It might not be immediate, it might not be predictable, but it will become inevitable. A mysterious illness, a sudden misfortune, a tragic accident. The fear of this consequence, the profound respect for Ogun's uncompromising demand for truth often acts as the most potent deterrent against perjury. Many a hidden truth has been brought to light, many a false claim abandoned, simply by the presence of that sacred iron and the invocation of Ogun's name. It is said that the iron itself will bite the liar, that Ogun's justice is embedded within the very molecular structure of his metal. This profound reverence for an oath sworn on iron points to a deeper metaphysical principle at play. What is this unshakable truth that Ogun so fiercely guards? A truth so potent that its violation calls forth such formidable power. One, guardian of cosmic order. Metaphysically, Ogun's role as the guardian of truth transcends the mere enforcement of human honesty or upholding of social contracts. As indispensable as those functions are, he is the divine enforcer of a far deeper, more fundamental principle, the truth of what is. This is not a truth defined by human convenience, societal whim, or subjective interpretation. It is conceived as the unvarnished, often uncompromising bedrock reality of existence itself, the inherent order, the structural integrity, the underlying laws that govern the cosmos. When an oath is broken in his name, when a falsehood is deliberately perpetuated under his invocation, it's perceived as far more than a social transgression. It is an attempt to distort this fundamental architecture of reality, a discordant note in the symphony of cosmic harmony, a disruption that Ogun, by his very essence as a principle of unyielding integrity, is cosmically bound to rectify. His justice, therefore, is not merely punitive, it is restorative, aiming to re-establish not just balance between individuals or groups, but a crucial alignment with this overarching cosmic verity. He is, in this profound sense, the metaphysical bedrock of accountability, the ultimate guarantor that actions have consequences rooted in the very nature of being. This ancient understanding, of course, throws into sharp relief a timeless and increasingly urgent fundamental question, one that resonates powerfully in our complex, often bewildering modern world. What is truth? When perspectives constantly shift, when narratives compete fiercely for dominance, when the very notion of objective reality can seem elusive, even an inconvenience. In such a landscape, can there be an absolute moral compass, an unwavering standard against which all intentions, words, and actions are ultimately and definitively measured? The steadfast, uncompromising nature of Ogun, as traditionally understood, suggests an emphatic affirmative answer. It posits the existence of a core, unyielding reality, a truth that stands firm regardless of human attempts to obscure, bend, or deny it. Esoterically, this profound principle of divine justice and immutable truth was not left as an abstract philosophical concept. It was actively, tangibly woven into the spiritual, social, and even physical landscape of traditional Yoruba communities. Ogun's shrines, as we've noted, were often strategically positioned at crucial junctures, at the entrances and exits of towns, the liminal spaces between the known and the unknown, in the bustling heart of the central marketplace, the hub of commerce and social interaction, even on the wild outskirts, marking the boundaries with the untamed forests, his other domain. This practice was far more than a matter of convenient access for worship or a simple territorial marking. It was a sophisticated form of spiritual architecture, a conscious and deliberate gridding of the entire community with Ogun's watchful, discerning, and justice-enforcing ashe. Each shrine served as an active conduit, an anchor point for his potent energy, a constant, visible, and palpable reminder to all inhabitants and visitors alike that they moved and acted under Ogun's unwavering gaze concerning matters of truth, ethical conduct, and the sacred inviolability of agreements. And the very iron objects prominently displayed within these shrines, his primary, quintessential emblem, served as powerful, silent sermons. Iron, by its very nature, embodies this unshakable, definitive, and often sharp-edged truth. It does not easily bend to whims or persuasions. It stands firm, cool, and resolute to the touch. A material testament to the unyielding nature of ultimate consequence and the hard reality of divine law. Its weight speaks volumes. Its potential sharpness of discernment, its coldness of impartiality. The presence of Ogun's iron was a constant reminder that some truths are not negotiable. If such a powerful, truth-enforcing energy, embodied in the unyielding nature of iron, forms a cornerstone of cosmic and communal order, how then does this exacting principle translate to those who are entrusted with positions of earthly power and authority? How is the king, the chief, the leader, in turn held accountable to this same demanding, unyielding law of iron? Kingship and accountability. In Yoruba thought, the concept of kingship is deeply sacred. The Oba, or king, is often referred to as Ekeji Orisha, second only to the Orishas themselves, a divine representative on earth, a conduit between the spiritual and temporal realms. This bestows immense spiritual authority and legitimacy upon the ruler. However, this was far from an absolute, unchecked, divine right to rule, as seen in some other cultures. The Yoruba system incorporated sophisticated checks and balances, powerful councils of chiefs like the Oyo Messi in the Oyo Empire, influential religious authorities including Babalawos, priests of Ifa divination, and the Aworo Ogun, priests of Ogun, and even military leaders had the capacity to advise, to sanction, and in extreme cases of injustice and incompetence, even to depose of a king. And underpinning this entire system of governance, like a silent, ever-watchful sentinel, was Ogun himself. His role as the ultimate guardian of truth and the enforcer of justice was paramount, extending even to crowned heads. A king was expected to rule with wisdom, fairness, and integrity, principles deeply resonant with Ogun's own nature. If a ruler became tyrannical, corrupt, or violated the sacred trust placed in them, they risked not only the censure of human councils, but the direct, formidable wrath of Ogun. The divine backing of a Yoruba king was therefore implicitly conditional, inextricably tied to upholding the very tenets of truth and justice that Ogun personifies. Even during installation rites, if a new king chose items symbolic of Ogun, like a gun or a cutlass, it could be interpreted as a tacit oath to Ogun to rule with strength, decisiveness, and justice, or face the consequences represented by those very implements. The enduring power of this principle is strikingly evident even today. For instance, with certain branches of the vigilante group of Nigeria, VGN, some commandants, themselves practitioners and priests of traditional Yoruba religion, oversee departments responsible for traditional charm and, significantly, oath-taking rituals. This contemporary application underscores a continued pragmatic recognition of the efficacy and deep cultural resonance of invoking Ogun as an enforcer of oaths and a protector, even alongside formal state systems. It speaks to a lasting belief in a justice that transcends mere human laws. It becomes profoundly clear then that this transformative power, this Ogun energy, demands absolute integrity from all, from the commoner to the king. Its misuse, its perversion through deceit or tyranny doesn't just disrupt society, it is seen to disrupt the fabric of reality itself and will inevitably be met with unyielding corrective consequences. But is this formidable power of truth, justice, and transformation a monolithic force? Or does it, like a well-forged blade, possess many facets, many edges, each suited to a different purpose or aspect of existence? How does Ogun's singular essence express itself in the multifaceted demands of life and the diverse needs of his people? Chapter 4. The 7 Faces of Ogun and the Dance of Energies. But is this formidable power of truth, justice, and creative destructive transformation a singular, monolith force? An undifferentiated current of energy that crashes through the world in one predictable way? Or does it, perhaps like a masterfully forged blade with many facets, or even like a versatile set of perfectly honed tools, possess many distinct aspects, many unique edges, each precisely suited to a different purpose, a distinct challenge, a particular nuance of existence? How does Ogun's singular, undeniably potent essence express itself in the infinitely varied demands of life and the diverse spiritual and practical needs of his people. To explore this, we must turn to the rich and intriguing concept of Ogun Meje, the 7 Oguns, or the 7 paths of Ogun. This isn't to suggest a pantheon of 7 different separate gods. Rather, it signifies a profound understanding that Ogun's singular immense Ashe, his divine power, manifests in at least 7 distinct vibrational expressions, 7 specialized currents or applications of his core energy. It's a testament to the sophistication of a spiritual system that recognizes divinity as both unified and multifaceted. Each of these 7 paths is often deeply associated with a particular Yoruba town or region, a specific domain of human activity, and even distinct preferred sacrificial offerings, highlighting a nuanced and intimate engagement with his complex divinity. This allows devotees to connect with and invoke the precise aspect of Ogun's power most relevant to their needs. Consider the example, the renowned and revered Ogun Onire. He is the Lord of Ire, or Owner of Ire, a title rooted in the historic town of Ire Ekiti, a paramount center of his devotion. This is Ogun in his foundational, regal aspect, the pioneering founder of cities, the architect of societal structure, the ultimate protector of communities, and the divine ancestor of kings. His energy here is that of unwavering leadership, the establishment of just law, the fortification of communal well-being, and the courageous defense of his people. He is the Orisha whose strength ensures that society itself can exist and flourish. Then, in compelling contrast, picture Ogun Bengbena. This is the Ogun of the woodcarvers, and by extension, the patron of all artisans, craftsmen, and those who transform materials with intricate skill and creative vision. Here, his Ashe flows not primarily as overwhelming force, but into meticulous precision, profound artistry, and a deep intuitive understanding of the material's inherent qualities and potential. He is the patron of creative shaping, the divine inspiration that guides the hand to bring forth beauty, function, and sacred meaning from the heart of wood, stone, or metal. It is said that Ogun Bengbena drinks tree sap, symbolizing an intimate connection with the essence of the material he shapes, a sustenance drawn from his very craft. We see yet another facet with Ogun Alara of the town of Lara, who accepts a dog in offering, signifying perhaps a rawer, more primal connection to the hunt or protection. One unified Ogun manifesting as a stern king and fierce protector of the collective, the same Ogun expressing as the intricate artist and shaper of sacred forms, the same Ogun embodying the primal hunter. What does this remarkable multiplicity, these 7 distinct yet interconnected parts, truly tell us about the nature of his power, its adaptability, and its pervasive interaction with every stratum of the world? If Ogun himself contains such rich diversity, such specialized expressions of a core energy, how then does this multifaceted force engage and interrelate with the other great forces of the cosmos, the other Orishas who govern different domains of existence? One, the divine ecosystem. The Yoruba worldview doesn't see the Orishas as isolated deities ruling their separate fiefdoms. Instead, they form a dynamic divine ecosystem, a complex web of interacting energies and personalities, where each principle, each Orisha has a vital role to play in the maintenance and evolution of cosmic order. Ogun, with his fierce and often solitary nature, is nonetheless a crucial part of this divine interplay. The Patakis, the sacred myths, are rich with stories illustrating these vital connections. Consider, for instance, his profound relationship with Obatala. Obatala is revered as the Orisha of purity, peace, and the very sculptor of human physical forms, shaping us from the primordial clay. Yet, one significant myth tells us that while Obatala formed the bodies, it was Ogun with his incisive tools and defining force who carved or fashioned the limbs, articulated the joints, and gave definition and the capacity for movement to these first humans. Esoterically, this is a powerful teaching. Raw, undifferentiated creation, the pure potential represented by Obatala, requires the sharp, articulating, and dynamic energy of Ogun to achieve functional manifestation in the world. Obatala provides the substance. Ogun imparts the specific form, the ability to act, to engage. Both are essential for any idea, any creative impulse, to move from pure being into concrete, differentiated existence. Then there is the celebrated story of Ogun and Oshun. Oshun, the Orisha of sweet waters, love, beauty, fertility, and the art of diplomacy, plays a pivotal role when Ogun, in a fit of rage, disillusionment, or perhaps profound sorrow, retreats deep into the untamed forest. He takes all iron, all tools, all his transformative energy with him, and as a result, human endeavor grinds to a halt. The fields cannot be tilled, homes cannot be built, society itself begins to unravel. One by one, the other Orishas, even the most powerful, attempted to persuade Ogun to return, but their pleas, their demands, their offerings, all fail against his iron resolve. Finally, it is Oshun, employing not fierce but her irresistible charm, her captivating beauty, her persuasive words, and the alluring sweetness of her honey, symbolic of gentle, rational power, who successfully coaxes the mighty Ogun from his seclusion. She reminds him of the beauty, the joy, the connections that make life worth living, and his vital role within the community of Orishas and humans. This myth is a profound allegory. It underscores the metaphysical truth that Ogun's raw, sometimes overwhelming and isolating strength must be balanced and harmonized by principles of social cohesion, diplomacy, pleasure, and the interconnected of life that Oshun embodies. Unchecked or unmoderated, Ogun's power can become withdrawn, unproductive, or even self-destructive for the community. Oshun's influence represents the vital, rational, and aesthetic forces needed to reintegrate and temper this potent energy for the benefit of all. Balance, the myth teaches us, is always key. No single power, no matter how formidable, can exist in a vacuum or can thrive in isolation. This concept of a multifaceted yet integrated divinity is perhaps also reflected in the esoteric significance of the number 7, as in Ogun Meje. Across many spiritual traditions, 7 is a number of mystical completion, of cycles, of the planes of consciousness, or the fundamental notes that create a harmonious scale. Ogun's sevenfold nature could thus imply his comprehensive influence over various levels of existence, or his mastery over a complete spectrum of transformative energies necessary for navigating life's intricate challenges and ensuring the world's dynamic equilibrium. Now, if Ogun's power is so multifaceted, so crucial in its interactions within the divine ecosystem, and so fundamental to the very structure of being, how then are these complex truths and his essential principles recorded and transmitted within the deepest strata of Yoruba sacred wisdom? Where can we find the definitive, textual and oral traditions that encapsulate his enduring archetypal significance for humanity? Two, Ogun in the Ifa corpus. Beyond the rich weave of oral myths, Ogun's principles and archetypal significance are deeply embedded within the Ifa divination corpus, the sacred oral scripture of the Yoruba, a vast repository of wisdom, ethics, and metaphysical understanding comprising 256 archetypal life situations known as Odu. One of the 16 principal Odu, a foundational signature of cosmic energy, is known as Ogunda Meji, or simply Ogunda. The very name Ogunda is often interpreted as an elision of Ogun Da, meaning Ogun creates, or the spirit of iron creates. This Odu is symbolically associated with precisely those actions core to Ogun's being: the clearing of a path, the opening of a road, the making decisive progress towards one's destiny, and even, historically, with the organization of society itself into towns and cities. The fact that one of the primary pillars of Ifa wisdom is directly named for and embodies Ogun's core functions underscores that his energy of active, transformative creation and pioneering initiative is considered a fundamental archetypal situation, a vital spiritual lesson within the comprehensive Yoruba worldview. His presence in Ifa is not peripheral, it is integral to its system of guidance and its map of human potential. One Pakati or teaching from within the Odu Ogunda further illuminates his character. It recounts how Ogun, faced with a contentious dispute between two individuals over a fish, decisively took his machete and, with one swift, clean cut, divided the fish exactly in two, thereby settling the argument fairly and definitively. This act earned him the name Ogunda Meji. Ogun divides or creates two. Esoterically, this narrative isn't just about dividing a fish, it illustrates Ogun's crucial role in bringing incisive clarity. The sharp, definitive cut of his machete and impartial justice, the fair and actual equal division to complex, ambiguous, or contentious situations. His machete here transcends its function as a mere weapon or tool of labor. It becomes an instrument of profound discernment, of truth-finding, and of equitable resolution, the capacity to cut through confusion, deceit, or entanglement to arrive at a just and workable solution. It's clear, therefore, that this primal force we've been exploring is not monolithic. It has many facets, interacts dynamically with other universal energies, and as the wisdom of Ifa suggests, understanding its specific expressions and inherent principles is absolutely vital for navigating the complexities of life and achieving one's purpose. But if this powerful, multifaceted energy shapes the cosmos, influences society, and is encoded in sacred wisdom, how does it then translate to the most intimate realm of all, the individual human spirit and its unique journey through life? How can we as individuals learn to recognize and work with this Ogun force within ourselves to clear our own paths and forge our own destinies? Chapter 5. The Ogun Within, Forging the Self, Shaping Destiny. 1. The Path of the Soul. Here, Ogun's most celebrated title, Olulana, the Opener of Ways, takes on a deeply personal and profound significance. Just as he carved a path for the Orishas through the primordial wilderness, Ogun, as an indwelling principle, can be understood as the force within us that clears the way for our own spiritual evolution, our own unique self-realization. The dense thickets he navigates are no longer just cosmic or physical, but the internal landscapes of our own fears, self-doubts, limiting beliefs, societal conditionings, and ingrained emotional blockages. Psychologically, Ogun's attributes resonate powerfully with core archetypal patterns that drive human experience. He is quintessentially the warrior archetype within each of us, This is the source of our courage to face adversity, our discipline to pursue challenging goals, our capacity to protect our inner boundaries, and our unwavering will to confront and overcome obstacles, both those imposed by the world and those arising from within our own psyche. The inner warrior, fueled by Ogun's fire, gives us the strength to persist when the path is arduous. Simultaneously, Ogun is the divine smith or craftsman archetype at the forge of our own lives. This is the aspect of our being that takes the raw material of our experiences or talents, our potentialities, often unrefined and chaotic, and through focused effort, skill, and creative vision shapes them into a meaningful existence, a unique contribution. Just as the smith transforms crude iron into a tool of purpose, this inner craftsman allows us to mold our character, develop our abilities, and give tangible form to our deepest aspirations. And perhaps most challengingly, Ogun's complex nature also forces us to engage with the shadow archetype. This represents the repressed, unacknowledged, or less socially acceptable parts of ourselves, our primal instincts, our aggression, our capacity for anger, or even destructive behavior. Ogun's own myths sometimes depict him in fits of rage with devastating consequences, serving as cautionary tales. Yet the shadow is not inherently evil. It is a vital source of energy and power that must be confronted, understood, and integrated for true wholeness. The Ogun within then calls us to acknowledge these potent, sometimes unsettling energies, not to suppress them, but to consciously channel their force constructively, transforming raw aggression into righteous assertiveness, fierce protectiveness, or unwavering resolve to cut through injustice. This entire dynamic process of confronting obstacles, shaping our potential, and integrating our shadow aspects is central to the journey of individuation. This is the lifelong quest to become a distinct, indivisible self, to forge one's unique path in alignment with one's deepest nature and destiny, known in Yoruba tradition as Ori. It's about courageously carving our own way, much like Ogun himself, often solitary and reliant on inner strength to become authentically who we are meant to be. If this transformative journey involves such deep inner work, harnessing these powerful archetypal energies, what are the practical tools, the symbolic keys that Ogun offers us to aid in this sacred alchemy of the self? How do his ancient emblems guide us in this forging of our own souls? Two, symbols as keys to transformation. The primary symbols associated with Ogun, deeply woven into his worship and mythology, are not mere decorative tokens or historical curiosities. They are potent conduits of his ashe, his divine energy, and when understood esoterically, they become powerful, living tools for our own personal transformation, keys to unlocking deeper aspects of our own being. First and foremost, of course, is Iron, Irin, his quintessential emblem. To truly engage with the symbolism of iron is to embark on a cultivation of inner iron of our own being. This isn't just about brute strength, it's about fostering the unyielding will and unwavering integrity, a core of inner truth that can withstand the fiercest fires of adversity and the most relentless hammer blows of life's challenges. Just as physical iron can be tempered, purified, and strengthened through the intense heat of the forge and the shaping force of the hammer, so too can our character be forged. Engaging with iron symbolically invites us to see our trials not as punishments, but as opportunities for refinement, for burning away the dross, for emerging more resilient, more focused, more true to our core essence. Meditating on the unyielding nature of iron can help us connect with our own capacity for steadfastness, for holding firm to our convictions in the face of pressure, and for embodying an unshakable honesty. It is the standard against which we measure our own solidity. Then there is the dog, Ogun's faithful archetypal companion and a principal offering in his rite. The dog is a complex symbol, embodying fierce loyalty, primal courage, keen senses, and, at times, untamed aggression. In the context of personal transformation, the dog represents those powerful, instinctual aspects of ourselves. To work with this symbolism can mean embracing an unwavering loyalty, loyal to our unique path, to our deepest truth, to our sacred commitments, even when that path is difficult or solitary. Metaphysically, the offering of a dog can be interpreted as the conscious sacrifice, or rather, the consecration and transformation of our more primal, untamed, or lower instinctual energies. It's not about annihilating these powerful forces within us, but acknowledging them, offering them up to a higher guiding principle, like Ogun's wisdom, to be refined, elevated, and redirected towards constructive purpose. The dog's aggression, channeled with awareness, becomes protective courage. Its territoriality becomes the defense of sacred personal boundaries. Its keen senses become sharpened intuition, a faithful inner guide that can navigate the unseen paths and hidden dangers on our spiritual journey. And finally, there is Mariwo, the freshly cut, vibrant grim palm frond, Ogun's traditional sacred adornment, often seen festooning his shrines and worn by his devotees. Esoterically, Mariwo is rich with meaning. It signifies the conscious creation of sacred space, both externally and ritual, and crucially, internally within the devotee. It acts as a demarcation, a veil separating the mundane, everyday world from the potent, numinous presence of the sacred, inviting a shift in consciousness, symbolizing purity of intent, the importance of approaching spiritual work, and the engagement with powerful energies with a clear, respectful, and prepared heart. If Ogun's raw energy can be likened to an intense, consuming fire, representing his warrior aspect, his capacity for swift action, and even his potential for rage, Mariwo is said to possess a vital cooling or tempering influence. It represents the essential overlay of wisdom, discipline, self-restraint, and civilized conduct that must accompany true power if it is to be beneficial rather than destructive. For the individual on their path, engaging with Mariwo, even symbolically, is about cultivating inner calm, spiritual purity, and the development of a resilient yet flexible sacred container within oneself, a container that allows one to safely engage with, channel, and direct the intensity of Ogun's transformative power, or indeed one's own potent inner energies, with discernment, focus, and control. It ensures that our inner fire illuminates our path and warms our heart, rather than consuming us or those around us. It becomes profoundly evident, therefore, that this cosmic force, this Ogun principle of relentless transformation, truth, and path clearing, is not just an external deity to be worshipped, but an indwelling archetypal power that resides deeply within each of us. Its ancient symbols are not mere relics of bygone eras, but timeless living tools for our own spiritual alchemy, keys to unlocking and forging our own inherent strength or unwavering loyalty to our soul's purpose, and the profound wisdom that guides our sacred journey. Now that we have journeyed from the primordial dawn of creation through the forging of civilizations and the intricate web of cosmic law, and finally to the sacred forge within the individual human soul, How do we bring all these potent threads together? How do we learn to consciously and responsibly wield this ancient, multifaceted power of Ogun? This dynamic, double-edged sword of iron will, uncompromising truth, and ceaseless transformation in the often chaotic and rapidly evolving landscape of our modern world. What ultimately is the enduring flame of his wisdom for us here and now? Chapter 6. The enduring flame wielding Ogun's power in the modern age. We began this exploration by asking, in our age of unprecedented technological power, relentless change, and an unyielding cry for justice, could there be an ancient blueprint, a primordial intelligence driving the double-edged sword of human endeavor? And if so, how do we navigate its perilous currents? The journey through Ogun's multifaceted existence reveals that, yes, such a blueprint does exist. It is the very essence of Ogun himself. He is the primordial intelligence of transformation, that relentless creative and destructive force that is not external to us, but inherent in the surge of technological innovation, in the unwavering demand for justice, in the convulsions of societal change, and most intimately, within the depths of the human spirit. Ogun is the irrepressible drive to create, to overcome obstacles, to cut through illusion, and to fiercely enforce and uphold truth. He is the path opener, the divine smith, the warrior of integrity. So, how do we navigate these powerful, often perilous currents and harness this potential responsibly before its raw energy consumes us or our world? The wisdom of Ogun, distilled through ages, offers clear guidance. First, we must unflinchingly acknowledge his inherent duality in all that we do. Every innovation, every action that seeks to transform or build carries both creative and destructive potential. From the algorithms we design to the societal structures we erect, we must constantly ask, what are we clearing and what are we building? Who builds and who might be harmed? This conscious awareness of the double-edged nature of power is paramount. Second, we are called to embrace radical integrity and truth as non-negotiable principles. In a world often clouded by deceit and expediency, Ogun demands an unwavering commitment to what is real, what is just. This means honoring our word, demanding accountability from ourselves and our leaders, and championing transparency. His iron justice reminds us that truth has weight, and its violation has consequences. Third, we must diligently cultivate inner discipline and ethical self-mastery, the Ogun within. This involves forging our own character, tempering our primal energies, and directing our will with conscious intent. It is about becoming the responsible smith of our own inner world, ensuring our actions are guided by wisdom, not just raw impulse. Fourth, we must constantly seek balance. Ogun's power, as we saw in his interactions with Orishas like Oshun, is most beneficial when tempered by other essential qualities: force with wisdom, aggression with compassion, innovation with foresight, solitude with community. This means fostering a holistic approach, integrating different modes of knowing and being. And finally, and perhaps most crucially, we must understand that true power, the authentic ashe of Ogun, is ultimately for clearing paths towards greater consciousness, for establishing genuine justice, and for flourishing of authentic being, both for ourselves and for our communities. It is not about mere domination, blind progress, or power for its own sake. It is about making way for what is life-affirming, what is true, and what allows humanity to evolve towards its highest potential. Final thoughts. Ogun's forge is ever burning, his road ever extending. In every technological leap that promises a new future, in every impassioned fight for justice that echoes through our streets, in every personal struggle overcome through sheer will and determination, his dynamic, transformative energy is undeniably present. The question then is not whether this ancient and formidable power exists, for it is woven into the very fabric of our striving, our innovations, our conflicts, our deepest spiritual quest. The crucial question, the one that defines our legacy, is how we choose to be its conduit. Will we be the reckless hand that wields this power without foresight, shattering what is precious in the name of unexamined progress or unbridled ambition? Or will we aspire to be the skilled and conscious smith, attuned to the subtle currents of this sacred force, deliberately forging a more conscious, a more just, a more vibrant and sustainable world? The iron, as it has always been, is in your hands. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. This is the House of Horus, signing out.